Hello friends, welcome to this YouTube video program. I am developing a series of YouTube videos that is on different issues, different themes for conducting educational research. So if you like these videos, then don't forget to subscribe my YouTube channel. So friends, in the earlier program, we have discussed about research methodology, different components of research methodology, and specifically we have discussed about different methods. Okay, so what are the different methods that can be used for conducting educational research? So in this program, I will discuss one of the specific method, that is philosophical research. So far as nature of study is concerned, you can use four types of method. That is philosophical method, survey method, then experimental method, and historical method. So far as nature of study is concerned, so one particular method, that is philosophical research or philosophical method. So our today's program will focus on philosophical research or philosophical method, that how you will conduct a philosophical research. Okay, if you are motivated to take a topic related to philosophy, related to, if you want to study the vision of or the philosophy of any of the educationist, you can say any of the philosophers, a great contributors in field of education, then you can also use this philosophical method. So let us try to understand that what are the major concern of a philosophical study. Okay, so you see the activities that have been conducted or undertaken in philosophical research, we can say that mostly we do for studying the vision. Okay, to studying the philosophy, we do three types of activities. One is the metaphysical activity, then we do the normative activity, and of course we do the analytical activity. So let us try to understand what is the metaphysical activity that we do for conducting the philosophical research. You see, the metaphysical activity that talks about the nature of reality. So by conducting a philosophical research, we try to find out the reality. Okay, the nature of reality, the nature of universe. What is the nature of the universe? Okay, so we have to explain, we have to narrate, and we have to describe, we have to elaborate, we have to analyze the facts to know the nature of the universe, the nature of humankind, then you can say the nature of beauty also. Okay, so by conducting a philosophical research of great personalities, great educationists, contributors, we can find out the reality, we can find out the kind of knowledge that has been addressed, the kind of concept, the kind of you can say the philosophy, the theories that has been addressed by the philosopher, or you can say in a school of philosophy also. Then the second activity that we do, that is the normative activity. We can say it addresses to establish certain norm, or to compare things with a certain norm, or a certain standard, you can say, and guidelines. You see, when we talk about the great educationist in the field of education, when we talk about Rabindranath Tagore, talk about Mahatma Gandhi, then Sri Aurobindo, Swami Vivekanand. So we focus upon certain standards, certain norms, and the guidelines that has been given, that has been suggested by the educationist. Okay, the methods, you can say, what methods that has been suggested by different educationists. Okay, whether you will find that the educationist, when you will compare their philosophy, their vision, you will find that some are advocates the idealistic school of philosophy, some have advocate the naturalistic school of philosophy. So accordingly, the principles, the processes, the practices, the disciplines, and methods of teaching is concerned, that is also different. So that's why here you have to study to establish a norm, or to establish a standard, or certain guidelines. Then the third activity that we do by conducting philosophical research, that is, you can say, that is quite analytical. Means a skill of analysis is required. Means you have to analyze the things, you have to analyze the facts, you have to analyze the information, data that you have gathered by conducting the philosophical research. Then you have to synthesis also, you have to synthesize it. Then you have to develop certain arguments and you have to prove the arguments. Then you have to do certain exposition, okay, which is not in front of the society, okay, which is not highlighted. So what you will do, you have to expose something. So exposition is also one of the activity come under, that is one of the analytical activity that's come under the philosophical research. And certain underlining, you can say, assumptions, you can also establish certain assumptions and you can also verify the assumptions. So friends, by conducting philosophical research, mostly we do such type of activities: metaphysical activity, normative activity, and the analytical activity. Now let us discuss that what are the different areas that covers when we conduct the philosophical research. This is in particular in the field of education, means when we conduct educational research. So let me to go through different areas. I can say that studies on educational philosophy, contributions of educationists and philosophers. You see, studies on educational philosophy, different educational philosophy we can study by conducting a philosophical research. We can also conduct a study on contribution of educationists. As I have already told earlier that you can conduct a study on the theme of contribution of Mahatma Gandhi in the field of education. Okay, relevance of craft-centered education or basic education concept in today's education scenario. Okay, in today's school curriculum. So that also you can do by doing a type of you can say philosophical research. And when we talk about Sri Aurobindo, we can also highlight the integral education. What are the 5 aspects of integral education? Whether the different aspects of integral education is still implemented or still relevance in the present education scenario. Okay, so that also you can do. Then study of educational philosophy propounded by a particular school of thought. Okay, as a a practitioner of education, as a follower of education, as a student of education, as a teacher in the discipline of education. So what do we do? We study about different school of thought. Okay, so we study about idealism. What is the idealistic school of thought? We study about naturalism. What is the naturalistic school of thought? We study about pragmatism. We study about realism. We study about existentialism. So friends, if you want to conduct a study to know the detailed vision, detailed process, the methods, the disciplines that has been addressed in a specific school of thought, maybe idealism, maybe naturalism, maybe pragmatism, okay, maybe existentialism, that can be done by using a philosophical research. Then you can also conduct philosophical research to study the philosophical basis of curriculum. You see, the curriculum that we use, that we practice in our school curriculum, in teacher education curriculum, in higher education curriculum also. So what is the philosophical base of it? Okay, how the curriculum has been developed, how the curriculum has been constructed, whether any vision is there, whether any principle is there behind constructing the curriculum or not. Okay, so what is the philosophical aspect of designing a curriculum? That also you can do. Then study of philosophical basis of instructional process. So you see, in the teaching learning process, when we talk about the pedagogy, okay, the pedagogy, the teaching learning process, means what strategy we use in our teaching learning process, what techniques we use, what methods we use, what are the different activities we do in our school practices to teach the young children, and that is also what pedagogy we use for teaching a particular subject, the specific pedagogy that we use to teach mathematics, to teach languages, to teach social science, or to teach science-based subjects. So friends, here we can also we can also focus our study by conducting philosophical study, that is when we construct our curriculum or conduct the teaching learning process, we use our pedagogy as per the behaviorism, as per the cognitivism, or as per the constructivism. So presently we are using the concept of constructivism, means we are giving utmost care and importance, weightage to the learner, means our every approach in the teaching learning process are learner centered. We consider that the learner or the students, those are coming to the school system, they are coming with ample experiences, okay, that experiences they have gathered from their school, from their home, from their society, from their culture, and from their community, from their environment where they are living. So if we are in a position, being a teacher, if we are in a position to connect their life experiences with the curriculum, then we can say that that is the beauty of teaching learning process. So that's why what I am talking about, the specific pedagogy that we use in our teaching learning process. Earlier we are using behaviorism, then we use cognitivism, and now we are using the constructivist approach. So such type of study can be addressed by conducting a type of philosophical study, that is the philosophical base of instructional processes. Then study of philosophical analysis of contributions made by psychological theories to education. You see, education and psychology are very correlated. Okay, we use, being a follower of education, being a researcher in education, being a teacher, we use many psychological principles, we practice many psychological principles in education. This may be the principles of growth and development, human development. It may be the principle of motivation, the principle of intelligence, the principle or the theories of personality. So you can also conduct a study, a philosophical study on the development or on the practice of many psychological theories in the field of education. So friends, when we conduct a philosophical study, we can select such type of study for conducting our research. Next, let us try to discuss that when we conduct a philosophical study, what are the steps, or what are the steps we are supposed to follow. Let us first focus upon the first step, that is identification of themes or research problem. Okay, so what are the different types of themes and or research problem we can take for conducting our study. I'm just going through some of the studies, and you may take other studies also, like a critical study of the educational implication of existentialism. We are earlier talking about the school of thought, so here existentialism is a school of thought. You can also conduct a study. Educational philosophy of Upanishads, so you can also analyze, you can also study the Upanishad, and you can also conduct a study on what are the educational philosophy that has been being addressed in Upanishad. Then you can also study the spiritual element in educational philosophy of Mahatma Gandhi. So in Mahatma Gandhi educational, in Gandhiji's philosophy of education, in basic education, what are the spiritual aspects or spiritual elements that has been addressed? You can also conduct a study. Then a study of Sri Aurobindo's philosophy of education. We are talking about earlier the integral system of education, integral education. Okay, so here also you can conduct a study that is on Sri Aurobindo's philosophy of education, focusing on integral education. Then a critical study of Rabindranath Tagore as an educationist. We consider that Rabindranath Tagore as a great educationist, so we also conduct a study about his contribution. Okay, his contribution to the area of education, his contribution to the knowledge society, his contribution, you can say, to framing a school system, to framing education system. Then a critical, you can say, the concept of personality in Sankhya Yoga and Gita. So that is also a type of philosophical study. Okay, so the concept of personality means how the concept of personality has been addressed by Sankhya Yoga or in Gita. Okay, by analyzing the Gita, by studying the Gita, you can also get certain extract about the concept of personality. Then equality of educational opportunity, a philosophical study. Equality of educational opportunity. So you see how the concept of equality or equity has been addressed by our education system, by our constitution. What are the developments, and how we implement the concept of equity and equality in our education system. So such type of study can be taken for conducting a philosophical study. So you can select a problem. Then next we'll come to the point that how to collect data when you are conducting a philosophical study or you are using a philosophical method. You see the nature of data that you will get both types of data. You can collect data by using both type of sources. You can get data by using the primary sources and you can get data by using the secondary sources. You see, primary sources means like you are talking about Rabindranath Tagore. Okay, so a particular literature, a particular document. Okay, if that has been written by Rabindranath Tagore, or that has been written by Mahatma Gandhi, that has been written by Swami Vivekanand. If you are getting the direct literature, then you can say that you are getting the primary source. But many a time you'll find that the primary sources are not available, or if it is available, that is very few. Then you can also collect data by using the secondary sources. Means about Swami Vivekananda, about Gandhiji, about any schools of thought, maybe idealism, naturalism, pragmatism, okay, or John Dewey. You can say the Western philosophers, about John Dewey, about Rousseau, about Socrates. If you are getting certain literature, then you can also get data by using the secondary sources. Then you see the library studies, most of the literature, this is a type of literature studies, means the literature which is already available in our library. So what we will be doing, this is a type of library study. We'll go to the library and we'll spend time in the library. We'll read many literature which is available in our library, okay, basing upon our research problem that we have selected. Then what are the challenges in conducting the philosophical research? We can say the first challenge is relevance of the data. So what data we are getting, the information that we are getting by using the primary or the secondary sources, whether that is relevant to our study. So that we have to establish, that we have to find out. Then second, data from authentic sources. The data that you are getting, whether these data are whether we are getting the data from authentic sources. We have to analyze the source. We have to get an idea about the source, that what is the source, whether that source is authentic or not, and whether we are getting genuine data or not. Okay, so the genuineness of the data, authenticity of the data, and relevance of the data you have to establish, as you are the researcher and you understand better your study. So that's why this is the challenges before the researcher to know the genuineness, relevance, and authenticity of the sources or authenticity of the data. Next, we'll discuss about when you collect data, what are the different sources you will be using. I have already told you libraries, this is the most important source, because this is most of the secondary data you will get from the library, and primary data also you can get it from the library. Then the available literature which is in the library that you can study, you can get it from different museum also, okay, in national library, in different state level library, okay, and certain dedicated library which has been established, you can say, for preserving the documents and the work of Swami Vivekananda, Rabindranath Tagore, or Sri Aurobindo, Mahatma Gandhi. So that library also you can visit. Then you can get it from books and journals and transcriptions. You will find that many a time the data has been transformed to a transcription. If you are getting a transcription, that also a source for getting data for conducting philosophical research. Then many a time you are getting certain old videos, okay, videos and audios that has been recorded and kept somewhere. If you are getting it, you should watch it, listen it, and accordingly you have to write it. You have to develop a transcription. Then research reports. So many a time you will find that many research reports are also available, maybe in government website or many other websites. So that also you have to collect for conducting your philosophical research. So these are the sources from where we can get the data. Then our next important work is classification and interpretation of data. How to classify and interpret the data in philosophical research. You see, classify data in different heads and subheads as per the research questions and objectives. So first of all, in philosophical research, you will see that what are the research questions and objectives. Then accordingly, objective wise, research questions wise, you have to club the data and you have to analyze the data. and you have to compare the data also. You have to bring the authenticity of the data. You have to justify it. Interpretation of data can be done by description, comparison, appraisal, cross examination. You have to examine the data, okay, whether the data that you have received is a true form of the data or not, is a authentic form of the data or not, then logically reaching at the conclusion and findings of the study. So when you are analyzing the data, you should be very particular. You should use your logic, your reasoning, whether the results that you are getting, that is authentic result or not. It needs analytical and synthesizing abilities of the researcher. So researchers analytical and synthesizing abilities is required to reach at the findings by analyzing and interpreting the data. And of course we will discuss that for reporting the result of the study, the logical sequence required to reporting the study in different heads and subheads of classification of the data. And here there is the needs to bring clarity and precision to present the result, then appropriate references and quotation from different authentic sources needs to be presented in the report. So friends, you see, when you will report the data of your philosophical research, so what you will be doing, so the data that you are writing, so in between you can also develop certain captions, okay, certain quotations that has been taken from the original sources, so that that will bring certain originality to your study. And the reference, you have to put the exact reference, and whatever you are writing, it should be presented in a very clear way. And you can say that as per the questions and objectives that can be reported in different heads and subheads. So friends, today we discuss the philosophical method of conducting educational research. So where to get the data, how to analyze the data, and at the same time what type of topics you will select for conducting the philosophical research, and of course how to present that data, how to interpret that data for preparing your report. In our next program we will discuss another method of conducting educational research. Thank you.